The secret whale strategy hidden in Bitcoin order flow. Yep, whale games are happening, guys. Hey, it's Keith Allen. Hope you are off to a good start of the week. We're hitting that coveted hump day, midweek stride. And Bitcoin recovering after a bit of a pullback yesterday. Past couple days, I guess, have kind of gotten us there. And I guess we should kind of climb into what's happening here and see if we can explain what caused the dip and why a lot of people weren't aware that whales were actually buying when it seemed that they might not be. So let's kind of climb into what's happening here. The market definitely dumping yesterday, and I was watching that very, very closely, as were most people. Lots of FUD, just crazy amount of FUD oozing through the market here over the past few days. And I'll be honest with you, I saw a lot yesterday, really starting to ramp up around some data that Arkham had released. For anybody who doesn't know, Arkham Intelligence does a great job. They track wallets, and you can follow some major wallets there. And they noted that there was a significant amount of Bitcoin being moved out of BlackRock's IBIT wallets. Hey, good morning, Wakas. By the way, live chat is open for anybody that wants to join us here. I encourage you to do so. Always enjoy engaging with you guys. I love the insights and questions you guys have. Bring them by all means. And if you haven't done so yet, be sure and smash all the buttons. Hit that like, hit that share a comment, and help us grow the channel. Really appreciate the support you guys have been showing me. So again, thank you so much. I really do appreciate the support. So what I saw yesterday was, all this FUD coming out over the weekend. There was, some news of long-term holders transferring a lot of volume, and of course, the Arkham data showed that, as I was mentioning, BlackRock had moved, a really significant amount of volume out of their IBIT wallets. Well, people perceive that, a lot of people anyways, from what I had read, perceive that as a sell. Well, it's not a sell. Okay. It is a transfer. A lot of reasons for doing a transfer like that. Sure, they could be transferring it to an exchange to sell. Absolutely. That's certainly valid, but they could also be transferring it just for security purposes. They could be transferring it for distribution purposes. They could be transferring it for, hey, maybe they're trying to do a little smoke and mirrors and fool the market. I don't know that that's really something that they're doing. Just speculating on a possible reason to do it. I mean, we've seen it happen before, where we see large amounts of Bitcoin getting transferred that doesn't ultimately end up making it to exchanges. Sometimes it does, sometimes it doesn't. In any case, it happened. And what we saw, yesterday, I think the market was kind of hanging with bated breath on whether or not that there was going to be a big sell from BlackRock and the other ETF institutions yesterday. And truth of the matter is, there was not. And I'm going to start by showing you what that looked like yesterday. ETF flows are actually up 438 million. BlackRock, in particular, 295 million on a day that they thought a lot was being potentially sold. It was not sold. They bought the dip. Okay. While we're here, let's take a look at ETH ETF flows, also net positive on the day. And so in terms of what that means for price action, we saw this dip yesterday, 9%. 9% is nothing. Literally, in the world of crypto and Bitcoin, 9% dip is not a big deal. And so that in itself, not worth panicking over. What is interesting to me, and what I've been watching, and what has been of some concern, has been all of the interaction here with the 21-day moving average, right? Wick below, there's a touch, there's a wick below, another wick below, another wick below, another wick below. All of those wicks below were signs and are signs of weakness to me. But there's a mixed signal here. There's also some strength in this. Obviously, recovering the 21-day moving average every day is a sign of strength. And the fact that each of these wicks below, well, not that one, but from the bigger dip down to that 92K level, have been higher lows, right? So higher low, higher low, higher low. That's a positive, in my opinion. Now, does this mean that we might not still see a larger correction? I think a larger correction is always in the cards in crypto, especially since we haven't really had one yet, right? Let me clear out the trend precognition signals and we can get a broader view of the market. You can see, and I shared this the other day, we're in my opinion, we are still early in this cycle. Now, it's worth noting that we've really been on a bull run since the FTX crash back in November of 2022. So we've had quite a long time watching price appreciate here, despite the fact that the halving was actually only in April of this year. So in terms of where we sit in terms of the halving, we've got, in my opinion, quite a bit of runway here before things potentially peak. So as the market was panicking yesterday, I was, of course, focused on the broader picture, that the narrative hasn't changed. The fundamentals haven't changed. The fundamentals are only getting better in terms of Bitcoin. So, there was lots of alt season talk, and we seemed to be on a trajectory for that. But I think a lot of people got a little too excited too soon. And that is really illustrated in the Bitcoin dominance, which was trending down. I consider, and I'm going to say that I am not an alt specialist by any stretch of the imagination. So if anybody has a different opinion here or some different insight, by all means, share it. We were trending down towards, I think an alt season typically needs to be below 50% on Bitcoin dominance. We were not there. We were at 54%. And then, of course, we got this reversion. Well, what's happening now? Things are starting to move back down. We'll see how this develops here over the next few days, of course. So that's one big thing. But probably the biggest thing I saw was here in FireCharts. I alluded to a secret move, and I want to show you exactly what I mean by that. You can see that we've had some bids come into place. This happened when was this? This was a couple days ago. This 117 million or so showed up, boom, out of nowhere. And a lot of times this could be considered spoofy because this new liquidity can often disappear as quickly as it arrived. Well, it did show up. It did help keep price elevated. And then yesterday, as things were starting to break down, almost half of it got rugged, right? And so that kind of opened the door for more downside. And ultimately, it did get, the remainder of it did get filled. So that was a significant fill there, right? And then we saw, of course, things start to move around, and this is where things start get a little squirrely, right? You have a block here, and price then reacts to that. But we were seeing this sell pressure. It seemed like everybody was dumping, except for these two classes here. And this is what is unique to the bind CVD in FireCharts, and why I think this is such incredible data here. At a glance, and most people look at this and they go, oh, look at this, retail's getting wrecked. Retail's the only one buying, retail is getting wrecked. Well, I get news for you. It's not always retail. Whales can disguise themselves as any of the smaller order classes, and the smaller order classes obviously don't have the resources to disguise themselves as whales. So even though purple whales, those $100,000, $1 million orders, have historically dominated price action for Bitcoin anyways, sometimes these larger entities disguise their orders, or sometimes they're disguising it. Sometimes it's just a matter of there's not enough liquidity in the order book to make those whale size orders without having some major slippage. So what happens is they utilize the other order classes. Now, there's no question that retail lives in the small order classes, no doubt about it. But there are times where we see something that that looks different, that makes us take a closer look, that indicates that maybe this isn't all retail. And the first thing that I notice is when we get these kind of smoother uh, diagonal lines, and what that indicates is there's not a lot of contour in the line. It often indicates that there's a TWAP strategy going on. And for those who don't know what a TWAP strategy is, it's a time weighted average price. So that basically means they're buying incrementally over time. Whether it's on the minute, whether it's on the 15 minutes, on the hour, whatever it is, they set their bots and they just do what they do with a fixed order amount every single time. Boom, 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 boom. And that is precisely what we had happening here. And the reason I think that this is um, heavily dominated by a whale-controlled TWAP bot and uh, and not retail. Yes, retail lives in here, and that may be some of the contours that we see in the lines here. But if we switch to absolute CVD, we can see the amount of volume that those two classes provided for us here over the past 24. Excuse me. Let's take this out. Now what's approaching probably 36 hours, right? And so if we look at where they bottomed out, before they started moving, we can see that this was, let's start with yellow first. All right. That's $100 to $1,000 orders. Obviously, they don't do as much volume because it's a smaller order size, but they were net negative. We'll call it 42 million, 43 million before they started buying. From negative 43 up to 23, that's over 60 million, right? About 66, 67 million. Don't hold me to the math. And then same set of circumstances on green. That's $1,000 to $10,000 orders. They were down net. Where does it go? Where's the dip? Where's the low for green? All right, somewhere in that 35 range. I thought it was a little deeper. And they've gone up over 150 million, 160 million. All right, in that time frame. So you're looking at collectively over 230 million out of the two smallest order classes in a little more than 24 hours time. And that is significantly more volume than we typically see out of those particular order classes on a normal day. So that was an indication that you know that whales were controlling those bots and dominating those order classes, and that's why they bought. Let's switch back to the normalized view so we have a better view of it. So they literally bought as price was chopping here. They bought all the way down, and then ultimately price went back up. So here we sit again, right on the cusp, hovering below 100K one more time. So in the grand scheme of things, this was just a speed bump, and people FOMO'd into something without necessarily understanding the data. And a lot of people got wrecked. A lot of people got liquidated. A lot of people got stopped out. Whatever the case may be, view things in the, if you're a day trader, you trade what's in front of you. If you're investing, kind of trying to take this to the top of the cycle, then don't have such a narrow view of every single piece of news that comes out and every bit of FUD that gets generated. Take that broader perspective, and you're likely going to be happier in the end because you're not going to overtrade and probably not be handing over Bitcoin that you will ultimately regret handing over. So something else I want to show you today is we have some economic data out, and this is another speed bump, right? This is just another data point in the road that the market likes to react to. But the truth is, what really matters, what this all points to, all of this data and what the market wants to know out of this data is the Fed going to cut? Yes, they want to know about the strength of the economy and whether inflation's coming down, but what the market really wants to know is the Fed going to cut? There's an FOMC meeting, Fed rate cut meeting scheduled for next week on December 18th. And coming into the day, there was an 86% consensus that a 25 basis point cut would be baked in to next week's meeting. And after the data came out, guess what? That spiked. Now, this is a knee-jerk reaction. I'm wondering if this may have settled down a little bit in the last few minutes. It's pretty much, a done deal, right? So there's going to be another round of economic data tomorrow, and the market will undoubtedly have another knee-jerk reaction to that. But in the grand scheme of things, what really matters? What matters is how the Fed is going to deal with this next week, and how the market is going to react to that. So lots of uncertainty over how the new administration is going to deal with the economy, and that's maybe why we see some of this volatility. But at the end of the day, is the Fed going to cut 25 basis points next week? And right now, I can tell you that 96% of the market says that cut is baked in, meaning it's baked into the current price. And if for some reason the Fed changes their mind, it's going to get ugly. All right. So keep that in mind. Be watching these things to help guide you through what lies ahead. In terms of targets, a lot of people did sell around that 100K mark, and there's no denying that. I mean, we can even see it in FireCharts. There's certainly been some selling, and let's zoom out a little bit. Let's go to the 6-month chart and try and get some perspective here. In the amount of Bitcoin that has been accumulated over the last 6 months, you can see that whales, brown mega whales and purple whales have sold a significant amount now, right? Close to 30%. And so 30% for purple and a little less than that for brown. That's significant. Whether they continue to distribute from here or they buy these dips and run it back up, that's something that we are watching. It makes sense to me that people are selling, taking profit at an historical psychological level like 100K, especially when we didn't just straight line through it. Okay, we got this bump through it, and then things came back, pulled back. If you expected just to see a straight run to 150 or 120 or whatever arbitrary number you want to throw out, you don't understand how the market works, right? There's constantly an ebb and flow. And there is much psychology in this market as there is technical analysis. And if you put them all together, hopefully you can come up with some semblance of what is happening. So let me just check for questions here. I think I have addressed most of them. Camille, that's just transferred a new wallets to BlackRock. Yeah. Yes, Camille, that's what we were talking about before. Yes, a lot of people perceived it as a sell, but it is indeed that it was just a transfer. And as I showed you, there was no selling from BlackRock yesterday. In fact, they bought. So keep that in mind, right? It was a day of buying. And in terms of what we're watching here on whether we have a distribution trend developing or this is just merely some profit taking, that remains to be seen. It's not lost on me that there is some selling going on up here at 100K. So we'll continue to watch that as this data develops. Is price going to break through this 100K and run again? And how fast? Putting a pace on this is very, very difficult. Putting a time on this is very, very difficult, in my opinion. The run that we've had here most recently has, in my opinion, been too much, too fast. And so I'm happy to see it cooling off. I expected to see the cooling off come deeper than it has so far. Do we make it back down here to the 21 week moving average potentially, or on a daily time frame? Will we get down into the 200-day moving average potentially? These are the macro moves that really you need to be prepared for, because historically we have seen much deeper corrections than we've seen so far. I think it is a bit naive to think that this is as deep as we're going to go. I think, you know, 10%, a 10% correction from an all time high, especially an historic one like 100K, is false hope. So just know that that day is coming, and it's going to come when you least expect it. So be prepared for that. Are you going to ride it out and run it back up? Are you going to scalp alts between now and then, stack some powder, and then buy that dip, buy more Bitcoin on that dip? That's a strategy that I kind of like. That's what I'm angling for. You do, however, what works for you. And with that, guys, I am going to wrap it. Hope you have a fantastic day. Hope the market is treating you well. And I hope the data that I'm sharing with you is helping you navigate it just a little bit better. If you're interested in any of the tools that I'm sharing with you, guess what? Right now, material indicators, huge holiday sale. Every single thing is on sale for 33% off. That includes, by the way, lifetime licenses, which not only do they rarely go on sale, they are not even available all the time. So we're doing that as well too. That's a chance to save huge. Lifetime license, you get every single product. Premium Plus, you get every product, current and future retail release for material indicators. And when you buy a lifetime license, you get them for life. And that is where we wrap. Have a great day, guys. And as always, trade safe, my friends.